Rings of Power news just keeps coming. When we start to think the first season's over and it's going to be years before the next season releases, something happens that makes us laugh at Amazon all over again, and I recently covered the rumor that the showrunners are going to be demoted going into the next season because of how much the first season was a failure, but now it's being said that Amazon wants to do a complete overhaul going into season 2, changing writers, showrunners, and story direction. I have a bunch of things to show off, but before we get into the topic at hand, if you enjoy the content that I create, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and to the notification bell. Follow me on social media like Twitter or mine so that you can see when my content is posted. And of course, if you do really enjoy the videos and the live streams that I create, please consider becoming a Dark Titan via Patreon for just $1 a month, or support the channel via YouTube memberships. All of the links are in the description, and of course, I do really appreciate all of the support. So, this is a Bounding into Comics article. It says, new rumor claims Prime Video to completely reboot the Rings of Power after creatively bankrupt first season. Now, I do believe this to a certain extent. Amazon saw this show release, saw the backlash, and saw the numbers. And from what we know, the numbers really weren't that great. I mean, it was beat over the head by House of the Dragon, its direct competitor in the viewership numbers that we do know from both series. I would assume that Prime Video is probably freaking out, and these executives behind the scenes are trying to figure out what they can do better going into the next season. We have heard these showrunners even try to save their own asses already by saying season 2 is going to follow the canon and it's going to be what people expected season 1 to be, but I just don't really see that happening. They have already retconned so much and changed so much in just these 8 episodes that we have. I don't see a way that they could get back on track. It says, though, a new rumor claims that Prime Video will be completely rebooting the Rings of Power following the creatively bankrupt first season, which chose to throw out Tolkien and replace it with intersectional feminism. I do think they have to do something drastic to get previous viewers back, to get new viewers in, and to get the talk on social media being much more positive, because let's be honest, there aren't really a lot of people who ended up being a fan of this series. I mean, even the most dedicated shills like the OneRing.net ended up giving it a poor review card, saying that it had major problems with its writing, its fidelity, and unfortunately for Amazon, those people have now turned on them. So this new rumor comes from Nerdrotic, who says, we have heard the rumors from my man Chris Gore that the showrunners might end up being Fall Guys, and we might have to wait till after award season to see if this actually happens. This was another rumor that I did talk about, that they are thinking of demoting them and taking them out of the showrunner positions and putting them just on the general writing team. I honestly think that this would be good for them to announce. It basically says that they're waiting till after award season so that there's not more negative talk surrounding Rings of Power, and so the rumors don't circulate about the show being, you know, up in flames behind the scenes. But I actually think that this would garner them a bit of good attention, because people would look at the Amazon executives who were behind this project going, wow, okay, they're actually going to start making changes. But they are worried about their awards and their status in Hollywood, so they're not actually going to fire them or demote them, at least for now. It says, I also heard that they're going for a full-on reboot with this series and try to pretend that the last 2 months didn't happen, roll out the publicity, maybe roll out some more influencers, and try to get people to binge the Rings of Power. Good luck. The influencers that they had chosen before the show even aired, the Tolkien super fans, were a terrible idea for them, and I just don't see any influencers being a good idea for now, because any influencers that they pick for, you know, the series to promote, to talk about on social media, to, you know, do special YouTube videos for, I just think anyone at this point is going to view them as paid shills simply because of the people they already chose, like the super fans that were nowhere to be seen when the series actually released. While there's a lot of things I think that they could do individually to make the show a little bit better, I just don't see a way that they could repaint the overall picture and fix the show in total. I think that they could change the whole entire writing team and get actual Tolkien scholars on the project, bring Tom Shippey back. They could have him hire a few people that actually work well with him to really go over the Tolkien lore and see what they can change. I think that they could, unfortunately for them, get rid of a lot of the actors and make better choices with the characters that show up. I think that they could hopefully fix the pacing problems that the first season had, but that's the issue, is that there's not just one thing that was bad about the show that they could improve on. Everything with the show had problems. Even the things that people initially liked, like the music and the visuals, had their issues start to finish. Maybe the first couple of shots of Numenor and Middle Earth we saw were really good, but then you got to the end and you saw the Mount Doom scenes and they were just bad. You saw the wargs, those were terrible. The music, while yes, there were very pretty individual pieces, they kept being reused over and over. There are just a lot of problems that the show had that I don't really see them magically fixing going into a second season. Honestly, though, none of this is really surprising. A few weeks ago, I talked about this rumor floating around that they were going to retool the Rings of Power, sideline the current showrunners, after the first season was more of a failure than they could have anticipated, and this honestly, to me, sounds very realistic. They have shoved so much money and time and effort into this series just for it to release and people not be interested in it. A lot of the talk on social media surrounding it was very negative. A lot of people were very disappointed, and it also didn't bring in a younger audience like they expected and also needed. I do think that going into season 2, they are going to face a lot of major problems. And honestly, I think the viewership for this show is going to tank. We know week to week the viewership tanked, but I think in these next few years between seasons, by the time season 2 releases, a lot of people are going to be like, I have zero interest. I have no faith in you guys. I am not going to give this another chance. So only time will tell. It's going to be at least until the end of 2024. Early 2025 before we even get Rings of Power Season 2, but there are a lot of rumors swirling around right now, and they're all very believable. But that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comments section down below. If you enjoyed it, please make sure to give it a like, share it, and subscribe to the channel. And of course, if you didn't, make sure to give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I will talk to you all again in the next video really soon.